Hello, friendos, and welcome to the G-Spot. Today, we have returning guest, Big D. A new guest, Hillboy, in the house. Can we have a... Thank you. So, let me just read... This is the second episode, by the way. Like, I have no idea how to do a podcast, but we're trying. We're on a budget, also, so we are running off of one mic.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
we have a budget of all of.
We got one mic. We are
dollars.
Literally right now huddled around one single microphone on a stack of books, and that's how professional we are today. So, Big D, can I just, how was your first experience on this podcast? First of all, give a minute.
It was so good that I can't even remember it. I didn't even remember that I was on it. So it's like this is my first time back on, and I'm just as excited as I was on the first one.
That's what I like to hear. So.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
Of course, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime.
And I don't know if thank you's the word, but I am here.
You're here. You are here.
Definitely present.
He is present.
He wasn't forced.
I definitely didn't.
Coerced, perhaps.
Yeah. No, I didn't put a gun to his head and,
If only.
Definitely didn't do that. Hillboy.
Yes.
How are you doing today? And who are you? Like, why are you here? Why are you in my house? Where do you come from?
You let me in. I guess that's why I'm here.
I did open the door and let you in. You're right.
Big mistake. Right. No,
Absolutely.
I am fine, neutral, I guess, true neutral today. Mm-hmm. Just a void inside. No real emotion one way or the other. So you're pleasant.
Content.
Empty inside, but content.
Yes.
No
sea of tranquility.
No love, but no hate. You just exist.
Yeah.
You're just existing on planet Earth. Then.
Absolutely. I would say yes.
We're fine with that. We're accepting of that. So
aren't we all?
Yeah, absolutely, especially nowadays. But I would also like to ask you, Hillboy. Right now, or like, what are you up to? Like, what are you doing? You're in school right now?
Yes, I'm in Zoom University. It
Fantastic.
Sucks. It's the worst, and everyone knows that. And it costs the same as regular college.
We're really positive today.
So that's the good parts. Mm-hmm. And the bad parts I'll leave out. But I'm basically a student right now, professionally. And that is literally all.
And what are you studying?
Stop. That's a good accomplishment. That's a huge accomplishment.
What are you studying?
I'm studying sociology and Middle Eastern studies, so looking forward to a lot of interesting work and tiny paychecks. But I'm
$2 per month.
Yeah,
maybe if you're lucky.
On my OnlyFans.
Yes.
No.
We're waiting for that.
Yeah. Dropping next week.
Yeah, it'll be on the link.
Link below. Please check it out.
Please do.
Yes.
I need it.
Actually, speaking of OnlyFans, I feel like so many people now during this pandemic, like it is like booming. OnlyFans. I mean, I thought about it a couple times, for sure. I actually did make one, but it was a joke thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't actually post anything. I was just going to post ankle pics and feet pics. And if you're from Twitter and you're listening and you're from Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you visited my page, thank you.
Yeah. That's all also
and
say
would
that,
you? Yeah. Would you
actually?
Yeah.
That's what I'll say to my parents if they ever find it. It was just a joke. That's what I'll say.
Lol.
That will be my defense. But
full-time joke.
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, I understand it. Like, everyone's super alienated and distanced, and I think a lot of people are looking for some kind of intimacy. Not even necessarily like
also
really
just money
deep.
In general. Yeah.
Well, the money, the demand is there. The demand is there.
Mm-hmm.
And then people capitalize on that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but yeah, I mean, why not?
I know, that's exactly what I think. If I was like a little more comfortable, which actually the episode today is what we're talking about, is kind of getting out of your comfort zone. But what I was going to say was I actually do not feel that comfortable, like, posting my body online, which is totally fine, to that extent, like, actual, like, nudity, whatever. And I do not hate on other chicks that do it. I do not
or
care.
Dudes.
Like, do you? Yeah, or dudes or whatever you are, whatever. Like, do you? Me personally, though, I think it'd be a little bit harder. I don't know. What about you, Big D? Would you open up in OnlyFans? As you are right now, or as a girl? I don't.
If I was super hot.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Take advantage.
Well, that's actually a really good attitude about it, honestly. What people don't understand, though, is that like, it's really hard. Like,
no, yeah,
the
I don't
girls
have the
on
personality
TikTok
for that.
For what? For OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Like,
I think I know you could totally. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I mean, I think you'd post like booty pics. Like,
I'd subscribe.
No, but
you know what I
like,
mean?
the personality to do it, to just put yourself out there. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I guess that is a big part of it. Like, it's a whole like you market yourself, and you know, it's not just I'm hot. Look at me. I mean, obviously, for some people that
it's
works,
a lot of hard work.
but you really gotta.
I respect people that are really successful in that because it's super competitive. Like I was saying, especially now
hustle.
with the pandemic, it's a super hustle culture because you got to promote on like Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, even Facebook. I don't know about Facebook, but you have to be everywhere.
So, this kind of ties into what we're talking about today, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's what I mentioned before. It's kind of like, me personally, it's out of my comfort zone, that sort of thing, right? But today we're actually talking about how or our stories in times that we've actually been able to get out of our comfort zones, just kind of our own personal triumphs, because, I don't know, it's really important to have those goals, mental goals, I guess, and actually accomplish them, and especially now that we've all been secluded during this pandemic and all that crap. I feel like a lot of our normal selves it's kind of like left our body, like the way we usually would be without being secluded and indoors and locked up, I guess. But it can also have to do with your background and stuff, right? So today, I came across a story on Reddit that I wanted to talk about today first, just to kind of get our opinion on that, and maybe if we had any advice, you know, help this person out, and anyone else out there listening. So this person says, basically they need to get out of their comfort zone and make changes into their life, but it's hard to take that first step, which is like totally understandable. He's 21, hasn't had a job due to social anxiety, and basically they're just afraid that everyone's looking at them constantly. They're lacking social skills. They're thinking that their coworkers, customers, manager, if they were to get a job, were to just think they're weird, not like them, and have a general fear of performing badly at any job that they were going to try to attempt, right? So this person also mentioned they've lived a sheltered life in general since they were a kid. Their dad was overprotective. I can relate to that, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But it kind of comes down to, like, in your childhood, when you're raised around that environment where your parents are so strict, overprotective, they're sheltering you so much that the whole world just seems dangerous, right? Like, there's nothing going on outside of the house because you're so, I guess, mentally stuck. Maybe you don't really have the freedom to think about what you want to do with your life, or those sort of free-form questions, because you're so worried all the time. And when you're stuck in a state of worry, it's really hard to take that first step, like he was saying, into actual life, like livelihood and going into adulthood. So we're kind of going to touch up on that today, talk about our personal experiences, and just being more social, trying to like get more friends, overcoming anxiety, that sort of thing, just to touch up on it for this episode. Probably in future episodes we'll go more into depth on that. But I would like to ask Hillboy, since he's our guest today, regarding this topic, and you don't really have to, give super specific stories, but in general, have you felt like this before, like when you were little, even as an adult, have you had these feelings?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm fine with going to specifics. So my address is... No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely. I've struggled with anxiety, as this person describes, basically my entire life. Mm-hmm. Not always. It hasn't always been as bad as the person describes, but it definitely was at one point. And it can lead to this a kind of paralysis in your life, especially if you couple it with the kind of learned helplessness you get from leading a, I guess, sheltered life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be extremely tough to do basic life things. You're so, you're overanalyzing. You're constantly
for sure.
worried about what's going to happen. What will people think of me? Every interaction becomes some kind of battlefield in your mind where you're trying to say the right thing. You're not really allowing yourself to be natural. And that
closed off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can kind of lead to those problems where basic social interactions at like a job seem terrifying.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yes.
So absolutely. I've been there, for, I would say about 7 years. I was sort of a shut-in. Anxiety was only part of my problem, but it was definitely a big problem. So I will say for this person, I had a very similar situation, and getting out of my comfort zone was essential, because at the time, I will say my life kind of stopped being as easy to maintain, like that lifestyle of being constantly isolated and basically just not really living a normal adult life. Because I had financial problems, so basically I had to grow up.
You had to force yourself to grow up. Yes.
Yeah, and it was very uncomfortable,
Of course.
But it's weird. You get a tolerance for it over time. I'll say that. That was definitely my experience.
When would you say would be like the first like real time where you actually felt like you left your actual comfort zone and like your little box that you might have been living in like as a kid or even as like an adult or whatever? That moment that you felt like, oh shit, I'm actually like doing something. Okay, like I've taken the first step.
It's weird. For me, I would say I kind of hit a rock bottom, if that makes sense, where I just didn't care. Like, I still had the anxiety, but it got to the point where I just didn't care what happened.
Right.
And, obviously that's easy to say. I can't make you not care if you have deep anxiety. But that was what made me try initially, was like, well, I mean, I've got nowhere to go but up.
Right.
So
actually, that's a really good way to think about it, because, people who have hit rock bottom, and if any of you that are listening have hit that point, I mean, really, it's true. Like, there really is only one way to go up. Like, you can't get any worse, I think. It's just, like, that feeling of, oh, crap. Like, this is where it needs to stop. Like, I need to get better from here. And taking the first step is, wow, like, that's a huge goal to have, even just taking a first step. And it's good to even start thinking about it. Just kind of thinking about taking that first step and what that looks like to you is already a step towards you hitting, one of your goals. Or, like, for example, this person I think mentioned, they didn't have their driver's license because they were also, they didn't want to drive. Like, and that sort of anxiety will do that. And I think, I've known people in my life at my age that don't drive, or it took them a long time to get their license and stuff. And it's, you kind of look at it like, well, it has a lot to do with anxiety. Like, just taking that step towards independence, I guess. Because once you feel independent and you do one thing, okay, that's like a tumbling effect, like a domino effect. You can feel the empowerment to do more and more and more and more. And so I would also like to ask, Big D over here, that first step also, if you want to share it, that kind of first step that you felt that was like, okay, this is kind of gonna end up being like a domino effect. I can start from here. Maybe you didn't hit rock bottom or anything, but you don't necessarily have to hit rock bottom to feel these feelings. Everyone has some sort of anxiety, and if it's this bad, there's always ways out of it, and I think just sharing,
for sure,
if you want something you've experienced.
I mean, I have absolutely no problems with anxiety, and I'm a perfect human being.
Perfect.
And everything just comes so easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, I share very similar anxiety issues with our other host here.
Your esteemed colleague.
Yes, esteemed colleague, Hillboy.
Hillboy.
I will say the turning point was I was over at Hillboy's home, actually.
Okay.
And I got a call to help film a football game that was happening. And
yes, Big D works in film.
Yes, yeah. So, but that was the first opportunity that was like thrown to me.
Presented, yeah.
Yeah, presented to me. So, I get this call, and I mean, my initial reaction is to just say, "Oh no, like no, thank you," because it's just too much pressure, too much. It just got me super anxious. But I just said, "Screw it," Just say yes, and from there I met the first two people I worked with or worked for.
Yeah.
And then from there I met a cinematographer that worked with him, and I met some lighting guys. I met a new director.
So there's like a domino effect that
another director started hiring me. But it's easier now, but sometimes it's still not. It still feels like that first job where I just sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know, but you just have to
power through it, right? Like I feel like also on this topic, some people think like, well, I have to be at this perfect level of confidence to take this opportunity. That's honestly, realistically, probably just not gonna happen. Like that. I mean, you're
gonna start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere, and each time it can still be like nerve-wracking. Like you're not gonna get it perfect every time. Yeah. You're not gonna be this perfect human that's like not afraid of anything. You're probably still gonna be afraid once you get your license. You're still gonna be afraid to get that job. But the important part is doing it.
Yeah, it's like the easiest way to learn how to swim is just to be thrown.
Yeah, you literally have to throw yourself into that, because if no one else, especially at an adult age, no one's gonna push you. We have to push ourselves. There's no one there like nudging you. You can only change your own life, right? And us thinking that we're not gonna be afraid is probably a little too naive, honestly, because you just accept it. In my opinion, that's what I would do, is just accept you're gonna be afraid. To get that next job, to try to ask for a raise, to get that promotion, whatever. And just kind of putting that pressure on yourself is going to help you take that first step, because you have to realize no one else is going to push you. And also that you have to understand where that anxiety is coming from. And if it is just from a place where you're just afraid of what everyone's thinking of you all the time, the reality is everyone's focused on themselves. Everyone's probably feeling the same. Really and the best fact of life is that no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
it's not just you that feels like that. There's
for sure
almost every human being on this planet is just kind of playing it by ear. And just thinking about that is, helps you realize, maybe no one's looking in my direction per se, just judging me all the time, and it could come from like trauma. If you've been bullied in high school or middle school, elementary, all that stuff, it can creep up on you in the adult life. But again, it's just realizing no one actually has their shit together all the time. And if you're comparing yourself,
unless you're born into wealth. That might be a different
Yeah, we're coming from a different perspective completely.
If this person was born into wealth, then,
it could be a little
easier time of it, perhaps.
Easier time with certain things, but And even then, if you're hella wealthy, you're still gonna have anxiety about
you'll
certain things.
You can still have problems.
Then at that point, you could have problems of, you know what? I don't know who my real friends are because all of them are around me for my money. That's a different sort of anxiety. Or, oh my god, I gotta own this company after my dad dies, or my mom dies. Like, it's just a different sort of pressure.
I will say, in cases like that, that you often have more room to fail. Because of the
cushion.
money.
Yeah, cushion.
Yeah, part of the, like I said earlier, part of the thing that really pushed me was that I ran out of that cushion, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And another thing I'll say on, constantly being anxious about individual interactions where you're constantly worrying about what people think and say. It is true, most people don't mind. You're someone who they're going to forget as soon as they stop talking to you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like you in normal everyday life, you can have dozens, hundreds even, small interactions with people you don't know. Mm-hmm. And then you just fade out of their mind. Yeah. So if you mispronounce a word or stumble over a sentence, they don't care.
Yeah,
they really don't. They're gonna forget it like as soon as you're not talking to them anymore. And I think for people with anxiety, that thought can be a comfort. Like it can be kind of a suit of armor to realize that most people are actually not paying any attention to you.
Literally.
Yeah, yes. Like you can.
No one cares.
Yeah, you can be a ghost, so to speak, through
living shadows.
Obviously that's not necessarily a good thing. Like the point is to be able to handle the interaction, not just avoid it.
Yeah.
So I will say that can help. Just realizing people don't mind, really.
Yes. And so I'll just talk a little bit about kind of my first step, I guess, was similar to his story. My mom was super overprotective. She didn't want me to have a job in high school like a lot of my friends were getting jobs at these places. She really didn't want me to. She sheltered me so much. She followed me around everywhere. She was one of those moms. It's just crazy protective. I'm an only child, so it's understandable for her to be, like a hawk, just looking over me all the time. And while I appreciate that, because it's like, it's out of love, but at the same time, it can be really harmful for someone's growth. And so I had to make the choice myself to be, what, Mom? I'm getting into adulthood. I am I was doing my best in high school, okay? But that still didn't make me feel like I was going to be independent after high school because of the way she would kind of treat me. And I would try to still have my independent opinions, and I still wanted to have these dreams of okay, I need to leave the country. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So I would have just plans in my head already of what I wanted to do, but those thoughts had to be so strong that it was going to, I was just going to tell my mom, I'm going to do this. And also, again, I was nearing adulthood, so at that point I was like, well, in college, at that point, I am an adult. I can make my own decisions. I'm not going to care what she says anymore. And I truly, that decision to truly not care what my own mom thought, because I came from, it was just me and my mom. So we were best friends, and also, like I said, that relationship of mother and daughter just being very, very looked after. No, you can't go there because, you might die. It's trying to get out of the state of living in fear, because my mom had kind of instilled in me, a lot of fears that are unnecessary. Things that aren't necessarily going to harm me. She would be afraid of, no, you can't do that because, all these things. I read this article. I read this. I read that. And no, you shouldn't do it because of that. So one of the things that I wanted to do past high school, I guess, was leave the country. That was a huge step towards me feeling independent and not caring what anyone thought, me trying to do it on my own, getting out of my comfort zone in regards to how am I going to get to this place. It was, I think, my second or third year in college, and I saw a study abroad opportunity, and I was like, okay, I need to get out of my comfort zone to actually do this because I'm going to hate myself. The thing that carries me to do something is thinking, am I going to regret this if I were on my deathbed tomorrow? That's the one thought that carries me through everything that I do or want to do is if I was laying on my deathbed tomorrow, literally tomorrow, would I have regretted not taking this opportunity? And if the answer is yes, then I have to find a way to do it. I have to do it. If it doesn't work out in the end, that's fine, but I have to do it, or else I don't want that regret later on my deathbed. And we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, right? I kind of live on a life is too short sort of mindset all the time, which helps me a lot, and just in general. And so, and back to taking the first step, right? That was my first step, was studying abroad, meeting new people, because I'm kind of outgoing, but if it's with people that I truly, truly, truly don't know, they're complete strangers, yeah, it can be intimidating, especially if you're in another country and you have to get along with these people.
Yeah. So
that was kind of tackling everything at once. That was tackling, I've never been on a plane before. Like, I'm effing scared, but I was like, please don't look up videos of, like, plane crashes. Of, like, the 5 that's happened in the past years.
Yeah.
I was like, please do not. It's tempting, though. You're like, oh, no, should I actually go? Should I actually do this because of all the deaths that have happened? But just do not do that to yourself. I had to restrain from that. And anything my mom was saying to me, too. Are you sure? Are you sure? People questioning you is, like, the worst thing for you to take in. Because then you start questioning yourself. And that was not good for me at that point, because that's when I was trying to be more mentally independent and just getting comfortable with leaving the house, leaving my mom and not caring what she thought, meeting new people, raising the money to actually go to the place. That's a lot of steps to take, filling out forms. That long process of dedication was like good training to meet that goal. And then it's like once you do it, you can do more and more and more things, right? But that was one of my major feelings, I guess, of like, okay, I did it. Like, I did it, and I feel good about it, right? So that was kind of my end of it, and we're about to hit 30 minutes.
We are about to hit 30.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's just, you all good?
Yeah.
You all good? You all
No.
good?
No. I'm feeling real
Y'all
anxious
hate
right
me.
now.
Y'all hate me.
I took this opportunity and I'm regretting it.
You're regretting it, yeah.
No.
I'm never having you all back again on my show ever.
Okay.
Ever. Yeah.
Makes
Good
sense.
riddance.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I mean, based on that, like, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree with
all our
everything
input?
that we said?
Everything.
Everything you said,
everything
yes.
I
Everything
said, you're gonna
Hellboy,
agree with
I don't
'cause
know.
I'm
Yeah,
right.
okay. I'm talking a bunch of shit. No, so I guess for everyone it's different. I'll say that. One thing I will say that is probably the hardest to overcome is being okay with getting help or even asking for it.
Oh yeah,
I
that's a
think
big deal.
I look back on how much help I had getting out of the place I was, and it really was a lot. I think people like to have this like rugged individualistic narrative where they're like, I overcame, and that's true, I did overcome my issues, but I really did have a lot of help along the way. And sometimes I had to ask for it, which was very scary for somebody with a lot of anxiety. I think, there's a lot of fear of rejection. And that's one of probably the biggest issues with people with anxiety is being rejected at a moment of vulnerability. So, and it's hard to give you advice on how to get the gumption basically to do it, but if there are people willing to help you in your life, definitely reach out, because that will start the ball rolling, and you get basically each little hurdle you pass makes you stronger. Like when I got my driver's license, I realized that I could move, like I could leave, I could go, I could go places.
Anywhere.
You know, if I had a car, and I got a car.
There's a cat by your car right now.
Dang.
Nice.
Sit.
It's chilling.
Well, the car that the cat is next to, I got, and then I started exercising, and then I started, I went back to school, and, you know, it was just a huge snowball effect.
Yeah.
And if I could, I will share a proud moment I have is actually a relatively small one. So I was set to go to a show at a small bar venue. This was after I had went back to school. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago now. And I was in a club for school. I was in a school club, and a lot of my club mates, I guess, were planning to go to this show, and I, being eager to go, showed up early, and everyone bailed slowly.
No.
So it was like my worst nightmare come true. I'm in a venue with people I don't know, and everyone I was counting on being there bailed, and you know, I just had to kind of make a decision. You know, am I gonna stay and enjoy the show that I really wanted to go to? Yeah, exactly. And I stayed and stood in the corner like a creep all night. But I stayed, and I had a great time.
Like at most shows, that's exactly what we do. Sit in the corner.
True. Yeah, but you usually have a person next to you to be like, "Oh yeah, this is cool."
Well,
yeah,
in this,
But I'm really proud of that small moment, because it just signified that I had come a long way.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't care that I didn't know anybody.
Yeah. Like, you dedicated yourself to that moment. Right?
Yeah, and I just enjoyed my time. Now, I could have been more outgoing and talked to people, you know, that would have been nice, but I'm just happy that I stayed.
Yes.
I'll say that. That was a big moment for me.
Fabulous.
I'm happy you stayed too.
We're all happy you stayed.
Will you stay here?
Boy.
No.
Will you stay?
I got places to be now.
You're gonna go and snowball more stuff.
More good things.
Achieve more goals.
One should hope.
Yes. Got any more final words, Big D over there? You're looking a little. Yeah, looking a little sus over there.
I hope to snowball myself into $1 million.
There you go.
Big goal.
What do you want to snowball yourself into, Hellboy?
Just having a relatively normal life.
Awesome.
that would
amazing.
Be, yeah, I'd like to set the bar low.
You know what? Yeah, I'm not against low expectations, because then it's like, come on, like you achieve those and you go more and more and more. Like don't set the bar too high where it's unrealistic. Start small, guys. Gotta start small. So this is kind of this is it. This is the episode. I'm stopping the podcast completely.
This is the end.
This is the last episode I'm doing.
This was the first season and the last.
The last season.
Okay, the first and the last, Alpha and Omega. Okay. Well, it was nice to be on the last episode of the G-Spot.
And
it's a great honor.
Yes. Did you feel that your brains were stimulated today? The G-spot in your brain, was it stimulated today?
Just vibrating at this moment.
Yes.
Shaking, quivering even. I'll stop.
Please stop. You could have stopped at the first thing. All right, so guys, thank you so much for listening. Please, this is not the last episode, contrary to what we just said.
We'll see.
We'll see about that. Join me next Wednesday for some more juicy content. And have a great morning. Have a fabulous day, and just be positive, my dudes, friendos. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.